Thank you very much, Dask, Rivington, and crew here now in the Analyst Lounge, and what an emotional interview that was. Definitely getting a little choked up, but CLG put all their emotions onto the riff, so it was just a perfect series.
It's been so long since CLG had a victory. I mean, they left the first time that they went to Korea years and years ago is when TSM took over North America, and they won all domestic anything.
Yeah.
And it's just been so long time coming. You can see how choked up Hotshot gets because he's been working towards this forever.
And I mean, Hotshot down the line, we said it right before Game 3, but every single person on this roster played ridiculously well. Powelter got to keep playing Victor. He was a huge damage source up against Bjergsen, one of the mid laners who gets the most help and some of the most accolades across North America LCS. Did just fine in that matchup. Smithy was absolutely massive on the Gragas and on the Echo. Every single person deserved that win there.
It's almost like a fairy tale, honestly. CLG always losing in the playoffs, then miraculously go on after a losing streak in the regular season where the collapse was set upon once again. Not only do they win, they go undefeated, they beat TSM on the biggest stage, and then the crowd chants CLG right after TSM has been going down. Just unbelievable what just happened.
Really a dream. Now they get to carry on to Worlds, the first time that they're doing that from first seed. It has to feel very good.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of work ahead of them because the Worlds patch is going to be very different, so they can't get laxed. They've got a lot of preparation. They have to continue to evolve as a team and continue to put in hard work.
But that is something I think CLG have right up their alley here, honestly. Their duo lane, these guys have like run around playing Blitz Thresh duo before, so if Mordekaiser shows up, it's a big deal. They're already ready for the double melee lanes.
Zion's all about the juggernauts.
Right. You got big juggernauts up there. That's completely there for Zion Spartan. Smithy's been known to adapt quite well. Honestly, this is, I think, going to be a really positive end of the year for CLG. I have really high hopes for them.
I couldn't imagine a more positive end of the year.
Yeah.
Looking at how Team Solo Mid did, reflecting on that performance, what is something that can kind of take a team by storm like that and make them kind of just lose everything?
I think there's definitely a lot of improvements that TSM can make. Anytime you are the victim of a 3-0, some holes were exposed in your strategy and your team play. They had poor early games. They were not taking the proper risks. They were reacting. And they also, despite picking Yasuo, were never the superior team in the team fights. They were holding off and weren't actually the ones picking the fights. It was always CLG, and Yasuo was trying to react to them. So TSM got very outplayed in this series.
I mean, TSM throughout the playoffs, when they were winning games, and especially in the Team Liquid set, it was because they had really strong late games. And we saw actually their games against TL were reasonably close for a long time. You had many 50-minute games, but they had superior team fighting by the very end of it all. CLG is a much faster-paced, much riskier team than TL was, and so you even saw these flaws last week with TSM. They could even look back to that previous set and still learn lessons from those games. I like that CLG played so aggressively to abuse all those weaknesses, but when you're getting broken apart in the first 20 minutes, that's hard to change.
That's the thing with CLG. They've been taking these risks, and some of them have been punished fairly heavily, yet they didn't drop a game to Impulse or to TSM.
Yeah, and one thing that changed about CLG through this playoffs versus the past playoffs is it's the first time they took their own style into playoffs and didn't abandon it. Right? Because they've had good regular seasons in the past, and they completely change up everything, but they stayed strong, they refined their strategies, they got over their jitters, and they just crushed it.
Well, every player on CLG absolutely came up big today, but the player that claimed the championship MVP was Zion Spartan. He played with so much confidence, made huge outplays to get his team ahead, and the results speak for themselves throughout the series.
Every single time CLG got him a good laner, a player that could make solo impact here. Game 1 was all about his Yasuo coming into the team fights. They set him up beautifully. This guy has been great for so long. He's finally unlocked his full potential, and the fact that he's playing his style, CLG's playing around it, makes it all better.
Absolutely well-deserved there from Zion Spartan, outplaying multiple members of the TSM at the same time.
Back it was a second day week 6 or first day week 7. I was casting with Zyrene and I said, why don't they put Zion Spartan back on those champions where he just controlled the top lane? Then we got like a Fizz and a Kennen out of him and some different champions, and he just started controlling the game. And I was like, where was this before?
Yeah, I do have to point out as well just how well the rest of CLG was playing as well. Like, this is a series where Doublelift got a pentakill. And we're giving the MVP to Zion Spartan because he played so well. Like, there were some tremendous outplays by the entire CLG team.
I think if you're going to hold a vote for who would win, though, I think you'd have at least 10% for all 5 members down the line, though. So many important things happen for so many members of CLG. It's almost a disservice to everyone else just to highlight Zion Spartan. I think every single person, whether it was the person behind them doing the picks and bans or the 5 players on there, it was a huge team effort. Everybody played their minds out.
Yep, we're currently setting up on stage for a full player interview, so we'll have that in just a few moments as we continue to talk about the game here. Looking at CLG's composition, if you could dissect it, if you were somebody on the outside of TSM, what would you even hit first?
Yeah, well, one thing that happened with CLG is they actually did draft pretty strong team fighting compositions to complement their early game strength because they were able to transition some of the early game into the later game. So honestly, if you had a more aggressive early game team to try and get the lead on what was a team fighting composition for the last game, maybe you could have seen some rewards.
But overall, I think it was CLG.
I'm sorry, I got stuck because I had a good pun that I was going to give for free.
Please.
But then I held on to it. I didn't want to do it.
What's the good pun?
It's over.
There's no need. Passed.
All right. We're actually ready on stage, guys. We're going to throw it down. We're going to send it back down to Dash for a word with the champions.